Starting and running a business is hard, but you don't have to do it alone. Whether you're an established business owner or thinking about starting a side hustle to earn extra income, I am here to teach you how to show up as your unfiltered self, level up your business, and thrive as a mompreneur. Let's embrace the chaos and start enjoying the journey together. I'm Amy Traw, and you're listening to the Motivated Mompreneur Podcast. Welcome back into the Motivated Mompreneur Podcast. Today, I am chatting with Laura Wallace all about undoing the shoulds because let's face it, we should our lives away a lot. And that creates a lot of problems. So we are talking all about the shoulds, alignment, just all of the things today. And with that being said, Laura, welcome into the podcast. Super excited to have you here today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited for this conversation.
It's going to be phenomenal. I know it. So tell us more about yourself, who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I go by Laura Aura. That's kind of that's my energy field. That's my persona. That is my existence. So I'm an alignment coach for female entrepreneurs. I also host a show called the Gutsy podcast, which was recently worked its way into the top 100 podcast under entrepreneurship on Apple. So I'm very proud of that. And I'm an entrepreneur of 15 years. You know, I started my journey as an entrepreneur as a graphic designer. That's what my background is in. And I still own and operate a branding agency. But I quit my job when I was 6.5 months pregnant with my son to start a branding agency from my couch. And over the years that has grown and evolved, but the tug for more always seems to find me. And I just really love to help support women in business to relearn who they are and what they actually want and how they want to build their business and how they want to live their life instead of abiding by this mythical book of shoulds, and to relearn how to say yes to themselves and to feel confident in that. And so watching women come alive again and like start to really do this life the way that they were intended to do makes me insanely excited. So it's what I love to chat about. It's what I love to coach about. It's what I love to speak about.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And you are so right. We all have this mythical book of shoulds that is keeping us stuck in so many ways. Where do you think this all even stems from? What is the origin of this mythical book?
You know, I think that we are inundated and surrounded by it.
Yeah.
I think it starts from childhood, 1,010%, because the people that were in our life when we were growing up had their own version of shoulds, right? That they learned from the people that helped them grow up. And it's generational shit, right? Like it just keeps going. So it's all of this like rolled over expectations, a lot of times unspoken, sometimes very loudly spoken. But you know, it's in our media, it's in our social media platforms and feeds, it's in our magazines, it's in our radio shows. It's all of these expectations of how you should run your business, of how you should run your life, how you should be a mom, how you should be a spouse, how you should even plan your vacation, right? Like there's all these ways that you're supposed to do things, but what we don't take into account is how we actually want to. And knowing that we don't need to go outside of ourselves for validation. We don't need to go outside of ourselves for permission, that all of that information that we seek is really inside. And so I think it's a huge combination. It's like a big pot of soup. Like everyone's kind of put in their own ingredients in your pot. And now are you willing to maybe start to rid of some of that stuff in your pot and build it the way that you want to?
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Because the need for external validation is so rampant, and even I've gotten to the point in my life where I'm just so much more self-aware. And I'm like, I've always had such a need for external validation. It took me nearly 40 years to figure out I don't need anybody else's acceptance. And it's what I think of me that matters, not what anybody else thinks. And once you identify that, that's where you can start to break free from that.
Yes.
And that's too where I'm trying to change the narrative for how I raise my girls, because I don't want them to have to go through life thinking that they need someone else telling them they're good enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, like I feel like the second you start to get a little bit of a taste of what that actually feels like, your hunger for that like explodes. like
Yes.
oh, this is how I get to feel. Oh, this is how I can do things. This is how I can live my life. Like, okay, hold on a second. And then a little bit more and a little bit more. And I think that a misconception is like it's like on or off, right? It's perfection or
Right.
not at all. And that's not what this is about because look, I even teach this for a living and I still have to undo the shoulds, right? Like it just creeps up. It's a little tiny slow thing, but that self-awareness piece is everything. And when you start to feel what you actually feel like, you eventually become a non-negotiable. And that's powerful. That's where your freedom is. That's where your peace is. That's where your financial growth is. That's where your excitement and life adventure is. Like all the things that you're like reading blogs about, trying to figure out how to get, it's all inside.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love how you said it's an ongoing process because absolutely it is. I mean, there's not going to be a time when it's like, oh, okay, that's that. All right, next thing. No, because we're always being inundated with information. I feel like we are in a society of just consumptionitis, information overload from everything that you described. And that noise, that quiets our own inner voice.
Yes.
So, how do you recommend to your clients that you start to really tune in to that voice, that power that's already inside you?
Yeah, I think one of the most powerful things that you can do for yourself and I found myself in the same situation was, things went off the rails. Business was going down the tube. I had lost my entire staff. Finances were terrible. My health was in the tank. I mean, you name it, it was going down, right? And I found myself in the situation of like being a incredible people pleaser, taking in all the advice, doing all the things that I was supposed to do. And I got to this moment where I sat and I said, well, what does Laura want? And that pivotal question, which I didn't know was pivotal at the moment, but that is like the anchor that started to change everything for me. And so what I would encourage everyone to do is to start getting used to asking yourself, what do I want? Before you make a decision, pause. What do I actually want? Before you take action on something or start trying to do 30 things at one time, or you're getting ready to add a whole new service line, or like you're getting ready to take on a lot of stuff, just pause for a second. This doesn't have to be a whole week long marathon. These are like little tiny incremental moments that most people are not going to even notice. But are you willing to just pause for a second and say, what do I want? And that gives you the opportunity to silence some of that noise, to really come back into your body, because more often than not, we are outside of ourselves. I mean, we are everywhere. We're in 500 different places, anywhere other than the vessel that we were given.
Yeah.
And so just giving yourself a chance to come back into your body, take a big deep breath and ask yourself, what do I want? And then giving yourself permission to take action from that space instead of in
Yes.
this chaotic tornado that you have been in prior moments.
Yes. So many things. Right there, just practicing the pause. The power of the pause, especially in the world we are living in. I mean, it is instant gratification. Our brains are just on overload. They're seeking that hit of dopamine.
Yep.
Think about even the notifications on your phone. I've turned them off
Me
because
too.
you know
Same.
what? I don't want this little rectangle of a device to control my life. But I think it can be uncomfortable sometimes when we sit with that because we may not know the answer. What do I want right away?
And that's why most people don't do it, to be honest
Yeah.
with you,
Yeah.
because it's uncomfortable. But
Right.
here's the thing, I would imagine that there's already a level of discomfort,
Yep.
whether it's a lifestyle that you're not living the way that you want to, or you're not in the financial place you want to be in, or just like something is just not quite, it's just not quite there yet, right? So there's already a level of discomfort. So what if today you chose the temporary new discomfort that actually got you closer to where you really want to be. And I emphasize temporary because not changing a pattern, not building awareness, not being willing to go inward keeps you on the same hamster wheel of bullshit every single day. And that discomfort is permanent until you change something about it, right? But if you're willing to say, you know what, I'm going to try something new, I acknowledge that this is uncomfortable and I have no idea what I'm doing, and that's okay. But I'm willing to give it a try because I'm ready for a different outcome. That temporary discomfort will lead you ultimately to where you want to be, whatever that is. And so it's really about acknowledging, like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. This isn't perfect. Maybe I've never done this before. Maybe I feel silly. Maybe, nobody else in my world is doing this. That's a big one, right? But I'm ready for something else. And so now I'm willing to try.
Yeah, that right there, giving yourself that permission to be a beginner, to try something new. Like you said, it's temporary. It is a temporary change that can change the trajectory of your entire life. This right here, this will change your life. This will
Yes.
give you your power back because life is so flippin' short. We always think one day I'll do this. Oh, maybe when I retire, maybe when the kids are out of the house, maybe one day. Stop. We are so often living in the past and the future that we forget to live in the present.
Yep.
Nothing is flipping guaranteed. Nothing. We like to
Yeah.
think it is. I think that makes us feel comforted that all the hustle, oh, it's worth it because I'm going to get to this one thing one day. No. Dig in and live your life today.
Yep.
Today. I love that. I I feel like so many times a lot of this comes from our personal life and our business life being out of alignment, or even our job and our personal life, those morals, those values. How do you see alignment of those improving our lives? How does that help us live a more fulfilled life?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's first sometimes helpful to explain what alignment is,
Yeah, let's
because
do
if
that.
it's a concept that maybe is new to you or you're unfamiliar with, it can be like, what are we talking about? So alignment is in its simplest form nothing more than you doing and being you. That's it. It's not complicated. We don't need like a 700-page document on it. Alignment is allowing yourself to be who you are, to take action that feels right to you, even if it feels a little scary. But it's there's something to it. It's allowing yourself to trust your intuition and what your gut is saying to you. And it's allowing yourself to take the steps and or act from a space that is fully you, whether anyone else around you is doing it like that or not, whether anyone else online is doing it like that or not, it doesn't matter, because this world is built on individuals doing and being themselves. And so alignment, gosh, I could like flip over a table. I get so excited about this stuff. Alignment changed my life. Alignment changes the lives of the women that I get to coach. And it's truly an honor because it allows you to do what we talked about earlier. Get back into your body. What do I actually want? So instead of playing this professional game of whack-a-mole, instead of putting out fires everywhere that you turn all the time, instead of racing to the next thing or forcing yourself to do something or hustling your way through something, this alignment gives you a chance to come back into you and make decisions from your soul, from your body, from your mind. And that it speeds up your success path. It improves your health. I'm not a doctor, so I can't claim anything, but from personal experience, going from like my body falling apart to now I have some of the best control of my body that I've had in a very long time. So I speak from personal experience. It gives you just a sense of peace and joy and happiness. When you get to the end of the day, you're not like, gosh, I've just got through another day. You're not like, oh, here we go. We're going to do it all over again tomorrow. Or I got through to the end of the day and I have no idea what I did and I don't feel accomplished and I'm not good enough. And this whole like banter that we take ourselves on, right? No, alignment puts you back into yourself and you're like, I did a great job. I feel fulfilled by the work that I'm doing. I'm excited to do stuff again tomorrow. I am present with my family. I get to go and do things and have experiences that are meaningful to me. I have the amount of money in the bank that feels great, that supports my lifestyle, no matter what that is, right? It allows you to grow your business in the way that you want to. And whether that's, you know, growth is different to everybody. So you don't have to build an empire to be successful, right? So it helps you to redefine what success is for you and then actually live it. Actually live it. And that is empowering beyond all words. And so it's silencing the mental chatter. It's, removing the blocks that don't serve us anymore. And it's getting on our own lane highway and going and doing and being.
That is by far the best explanation of alignment I have ever heard.
Well, thank you very much.
I mean, seriously, it is. It's empowering. And you are here teaching us that it is possible. Is it going to be easy? No, it's not, because we're so habitually caught in these old patterns.
Yeah.
Anytime you're making a change, anytime you're doing something that's outside of your comfort zone, your brain will put the emergency brake on and try and hold you back. But
Yep.
keep going, because that right there, once you get into alignment, that's when you start living. That's when you start embracing, because there's always going to be chaos. There's always going to be the unexpected that pops up. But you're gaining that control back because you are in alignment.
Absolutely. And like I mentioned earlier, it's not about getting into alignment and now I've gotten there. And so now I've checked the
Right.
box and like now I'm good. Now I can keep going. Because again, I teach this and I still have to get myself into alignment. Right. And so, but it gets easier. Your brain, your muscle, your soul is it's like a muscle. And the
Yeah.
more you use it, the stronger it gets. And so the further you get into this journey, the faster you can recognize it, the faster you can shift things, and things that maybe once took you down for days, weeks, months at a time, you can literally shift in the moment. And so again, I want to reiterate, because I know how we are as women. This is not about perfection. This is not about like nailing it and then now it's done. This is ongoing work. This is part of your lifestyle. But this is the absolute thing that will free you and will help you have whatever it is that you want in this world.
Yes. Yes. It is a skill. It's a skill that takes a lot of practice. Just like anything in life, you don't hop in a car one day and expect to know how to drive it. You have to practice. You
Yes.
know, you have to keep trying and adjusting and learning. It's not that you hop in the car for the first time, get on the highway in a snowstorm. No,
Right.
no. You have to practice. It's a skill, and it's a skill you can learn, because often, I feel like we're going through life on autopilot. Like you said, we're checking boxes. Why? Why are we doing this? Like, wait, there's no trophy at the end of the day if you're the most burnt out, stressed out, overwhelmed, not present person in the world. There's
Right.
no trophy. Mom martyrdom is a real thing. Ask for help. Gosh darn it.
Yes. Help is a asking for help is a strength, not a weakness.
Yes.
We were
Oh
not
my
intended
gosh.
we were not intended to do this life alone.
Right.
We were not
Exactly.
we were not intended to carry the burden of every responsibility that ever became known to mankind, right? Like we were meant to do this in groups with supportive people, and whether that's one person or 50, um rising tide lifts all ships, and that saying, it takes a village, right? Like we're intended to do this life together. And so whether it's asking for help at home or asking for help in your business or understanding, maybe a spot that maybe it's not your area of awesome, right? Like that's okay. There's a lot of things that I suck at and
Same.
that's okay. But being willing to recognize that and ask for help in that area not only frees you up, but it also empowers somebody that wants to help you. it also empowers somebody that has that skill that maybe is not being utilized, right? Like it empowers everyone around you. So help is absolutely a sign. Asking for help is absolutely a sign of strength.
It truly is. And it's hard. And again, I think it's that narrative that's been ingrained in us for so long. But again, once we start to recognize it, once we start to ask ourselves, what do I want? What matters to me? It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing and it's life changing. And what then a great example we're modeling for our kids. We're
Yes.
empowering them. We are changing the narrative together because, yes, we need each other. We are not meant to do anything on this earth alone. And it's time to stop telling ourselves that that's the way it should be. Again,
Yes.
circling right back to those shoulds in life.
Yep.
Oh, so good. Laura, this was a phenomenal conversation. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share with our listeners. How can we get into your world?
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm always down for a great conversation that helps to lift and empower women. So thank you for holding the
Yes.
space for this. So the best place to find me is my website, which is lauraura.com. It's LAURA.com. That's the hub for all things. I would also encourage you to tune into the Gutsy podcast. It's a weekly show. We've got 2 episodes that drop every Tuesday and Thursday. We have very real and raw conversations about life and alignment, building a business, energy, your mind. Ooh, we could go on a whole tangent about the brain. But I would encourage you to tune into that. And then on social media, I play the most on TikTok. That is my social playground. So you can find me over there at that Laura Aura.
I love it. So get into her world. This woman will change your life.
Hmm.
All right, mamas, until next time, stop dreaming and start taking messy action. You've got this. Are you loving what you're hearing? Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode.